Oh Johnny, Bitcoin, Litecoin, looking like my coin, Epic Cash and Digibyte on the blockchain. If the price is right, Napoleon, no dynamite. Haven't you heard about Gemini?
Welcome back. Today I had the pleasure of speaking with JP, the founder of HODL C, or HODL Community. First, we touched on Bitcoin a bit, no pun intended. We also discussed how he got into cryptocurrency and the tech side of it. He also dives into HODL C, telling us everything behind the project and its algorithmic token. So I hope you enjoyed watching this episode as much as I did recording it. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll be having a little bit of a different type of content coming to this channel within the next couple of weeks. So don't forget, like, share, subscribe, comment. Let me know your thoughts on these things. Awesome. You guys have a great day. And again, thanks for watching. Welcome back to Crypto Quandary. I am here today with JP, the founder of HODL C. Hey, JP, how are you doing today?
Very good, very good. Pleased to be here with you.
Thank you. Before we start this off, I appreciate you coming on the channel and taking time out of your day. I mean, obviously you are into the crypto community. So with all these ups and downs on Bitcoin, what do you think about all that?
I love it in some ways, but I hate it in some others, and it's gonna strangely fit into what we're gonna talk later. But what I think about Bitcoin is Bitcoin. I mean, I'm a Bitcoiner. I always loved Bitcoin. When I discovered this, for me, it was like literally the hope for a new economy that will not be based on middlemen's knowing that middleman is the point, the choking point where the market is controlled and basically favoring, a category of people over others. As we have seen with the GameStop and every other event, I think that it became much more apparent for people. So Bitcoin is super cool. The thing I hate about Bitcoin is that beyond all the innovation and all the freedom Bitcoin is supposed to bring, in many sense, Bitcoin became a bit what it was hating. It copied the structure of the stock market, creating a new category of leaders in there, the exchange, that started the spiral of speculation that became just like quite the habit now with the pump and dump manipulations and cycle, alt season, Bitcoin is going up, Bitcoin is going down. And it's okay because it created this new stock market, but I don't think it's fulfilling the full promise that it was supposed to do, which was to free the common people by giving sovereign money that could be exchanged easily between people around the world. And that is still, in some ways or in some part, to be done, in my opinion.
I totally agree with you on, it was created as a peer-to-peer, supposed to be peer-to-peer for the people and break away into more of a decentralized way to transfer funds. I totally agree. Well, that breaks the ice on what JP thinks about Bitcoin. So now, JP, you are into tech. As the founder of HODL C, how did you get into tech? What brought you to tech, or brought tech to you?
Oh, well, I guess I was always a bit of a geek, but my formal studies were in video game. So I was studying to become a game designer, which was my passion when I was younger in my 20s. And the idea is that I was just like, life is life. I met some people, needed some work to code. I started to do some freelance, and I just literally got absorbed into this startup world. Started to involve myself more deeply. Started companies and basically started like that. So I was coding as a game designer, but let's say that I started to learn fascinating thing. And at that time, the big buzz was on machine learning, and there was not that much like course or anything. It was really like learn on the fly what people are actually doing. So for me, it was a passion. I have worked in there. My talent was to basically understand how to plug things together to create new use case. And we have worked on fascinating things such as a question and answering system way before Alexa and all those things. So it was a fascinating time. And cryptocurrency was quite, just like I have made collision with the cryptocurrency world basically by working with some people, renting some office here and there, and sometimes meeting people with this Bitcoin thing, going to a few of their meetup and understanding, this promise, this large promise that made me ask myself for the first time at that stage in my life what was the real value of money. And I think that this is one of the most mind-shattering things that Bitcoin will ever do and is still doing, is to basically push people to reconsider what is the value of things, why something has value. And even if the old legacy world tried on and on to destroy Bitcoin by saying it has no intrinsic value, well, that's bullshit. And now people are understanding that fiat money had almost no intrinsic value either. And by just asking yourself the question on how this whole system works, you already became more financially educated than most of the people. And at that time, it was something like anyway, what was mind changing. So I guess that this is how I got absorbed into the cryptocurrency world. Then in the tech side of it, this is how I learned about cryptography. I was really the guy who learned on the fly when I was finding something fascinating. Everything is on the internet if someone wants to learn. So I did that years and years and years, and eventually I became myself a founder of a project. And the first time I got into the crypto world, it was just before the crypto winter in the I peak of the ICO world. And this is really where I got all my disappointment. This is really where I understood the greediness. Well, not to mention anything specific, but let's say that the mentality of the crypto community at that point had some very bad apple. And it became that it was, and everyone thought, to create these scam coins, and there was all sorts of things going on. And it made me identify what I thought was the problem there. And this is a personal opinion, but it really became for me to say that speculation and volatility and the economic incentive for people to always game the system in any sense, up or down, is the problem. Basically, it is the weakness of this, and this is, in my opinion, poisoning the decentralized world, creating a market that is more based on speculation than use case. It is changing slowly. It is really getting more mature, but there is still a lot of that. So I guess that all these realization and all my background is the reason why eventually I involved myself into ADOC, which for me implements the solution to create a fairer and non-zero sum game market, basically, that benefit a whole community at the same time, preserve wealth, and more importantly, completely disable the ability to be manipulated over the value, because it replaced the idea of price discovery and bid and ask by a protocol. And this protocol is in mathematics, and this protocol is enforced through smart contract. So this way, it is a complete new way to interact with value that basically removes the ability for the market to be manipulated, which I believe being one of the most weakest points of the tokenization world in general.
Right, right. So a couple things. Right, you had mentioned, you realized about money and everything. So I was in the military for a while, and I was in Guam, and that's kind of when I came to the realization of all that, as well as the ICO craze of, what was it, 2017, I think. I mean, I got into crypto around 2016, late 2016, early 2017. While I was over in Qatar. And ever since then, that's when I really fell in love with the technology behind it. But I mean, that ICO craze was wild. And you're right, greed is something that, anybody can create. Back then, anybody was creating an ICO and, just trying to make a ton of money from it. But onto HODL C. So this actually takes out the market manipulation. So do you want to discuss that a little bit more? Go into a little bit more into depth on that?
Absolutely. The idea behind this, we refer to it as predictable finance. This is the term we have chosen because we create a form of reasonable predictability in the way that the price will behave in time. So how does that work? It's fairly simple, as a matter of fact. It is a protocol, you see, and a protocol is like a set of rules. And these rules are fairly simple and are based on two tenets. The first is what we call the dynamic rules. So the dynamic rule is based on the action of the community, and in that case, the action being to actually make a successful transaction between two individuals. Okay, that will be considered as an action. So the action in the community drives the value. And so the first law in there says that every time the two individuals actually settles a successful transaction, the price will increase in a predictable way, which is basically 100 of a cent, or thousands of 10,000s of a dollar. Okay, so that is a static rule. So what happened is that the more there is activity, the more the price will be driven up fast. But then there is a temporal way. The temporal way is a cycle that is built in within the protocol, basically within the smart contracts. And every 24 hours, there will be a small, very small automatic increase on the price. If you compile this automatic increase over a period of a year, it will be a decreasing that will give almost approximately 100%. It's not exactly, but 99 point something, but almost 100% the first year. And then it's going to go slowly down and over a long, long, long period. And this is done eventually. I can explain. This is because of the nature of AutoC. So as you can see, these two laws will always affect the price into one direction. And this direction is enforced through the smart contract. So anyone interacting with the networks, knowing those rules, know exactly what they are getting into and what they can expect also of the system. So anyone who is actually participating is accepting to have increased the value. So basically, they have benefited the whole community, paying a little more than the next before, knowing that the other after them will also have to pay more. And this certainty removes completely the ability for the price to move up and down and to have people going basically losing value. You remove the guesswork of how the value will be done because everyone agrees to a protocol that is simple, that is well known, and that is basically preserving the value. We like to see that as a bounding curve because if you see how it will behave, it is a curve that you can reasonably predict. You cannot predict how much activity there will, but you can predict the temporal value of it. And you can average the average value also of the system, giving you a reasonable expectation over how it will behave. It will not give you the ability to predict the future. Nobody can do that. But it is giving you a reasonable level of certainty on how your wealth will be preserved through time. And this has quite a lot of value. The other very important law in these tenets is that you cannot choose who you're trading with. Basically, the asset is non-transferable. We could say, and on the technical level, that could be a very interesting discussion with some folks eventually, that although C is not essentially a usual token, it is a store of value. Not even sure we could call it a real token because it is not transferable. And that is a very, very unique property amongst the tokenization world. It is not an ERC20. It is not a standard token on either network we're going to promote. So neither on EOS, neither on Ethereum, it's going to be a standard token. It is a non-transferable store of value that can only be traded through a decentralized network or a DEX, if you prefer, that is its own network. And in this network, you can buy or sell, but you cannot choose to whom you're buying and whom you're selling. And how do you choose at which price you are selling is always going to be the day you are actually putting a sell. Is it the price that's going to be decided at that exact moment? It's going to stay fixed until someone executes your trade. This is an important economic part because when there is more sellers, which happens sometimes, there is more sellers than buyers, then it creates a discount naturally because the order is enforced through the smart contract in a very simple way. It's first in, first out. So the order book is completely distributed. It is completely automated through the smart contract, and it's going to execute one after the other, and everyone is fixed at that price. So when you're actually participating, you are either buying from one of these sellers, or if there is no seller, you go to the reserve. And the reserve is one of the other very fascinating aspect that I truly love about this project is that the way the token has been created in the project is a bit different from many others. And so first, there was no ICO or no public sale nor no pre-sale. Okay, so the token has all been pre-minted through the smart contract into an address that is only controlled by the smart contract, so no individual. And this address is called a reserve. And this reserve contains everything. When people started to buy on this, the first people that bought on this bought the first token. There was no token emitted to anyone else before it was bought. So basically, the token all exists on the chain before, but they do not belong to anyone. And once they are bought to the reserve, instead of keeping the asset or redistributing this asset to a person or to an organization, it is redistributing 100% of everything that enters to all the community at the same time. So basically, the project never kept any money from this. So everything that has been bought from the reserve is basically belonging to everyone that is already a participant in the community, making it a very, very different way to start a token. And so the reserve is a very important clause into all of this because the last law of this protocol I was speaking is the order of trade. So the way it works is will always be the same. When a buyers come in, if there is no sellers, you buy from the reserve. If there is a seller, you will always buy the sell first. Then, when you're buying to the reserve, the asset is redistributed. If there is no reserve, because there is a limited amount of token, there will, for now, there is 20 million available, and with the issuance of the new EOS token, which is the last, there will be 40 million token ever. This is the cap maximum supply forever for the ADOC token, whichever chain they exist in the future. Uh, so the idea is when the reserve is going to be fully empty, and then again, the law is the same. If there is a sellers, the seller will sell first. If there is no seller, it's going to create a buy order. The resource sent will be put in escrow, and we'll just wait for the first seller to execute the trade, making it, you could say, instant liquidity for seller at that point in time. And with all the initiative that we are putting together, we believe that in time there will be much more buying order than selling order often into the book.
Gotcha. So
So
you
that will explain you everything. Sorry,
absolutely.
it's a bit.
No, that's great. So there is a DEX and then there are the reserves. So if nobody is selling on the DEX at the time, you can always buy from the reserve as long as there's coins in the reserve.
Exact. And eventually there won't be. And you, by putting a trade order there, it will probably convince some seller to grow to put token in the liquidity in the circulation. So it will equilibrate itself because there is only so much token out there, and there's very, very much people out there. And as we stated in many things and many publications, the real aim of the project is not just the crypto world. Yes, we are very useful also as a refuge and stable value for the crypto world. But the real aim of the project is to bring this new financial asset to the world as a tool that can be leveraged to create better payment system, better many things, better payment system, better insurance, better loans, better company financings, and so on, so on. Because the LLC for us is not just a cryptocurrency. Yes, that we have chosen this format because we believe in the strength of decentralization and sovereign money. We really believe in it, but we see it as a financial asset to start with that is exotic in some ways, but that enables businesses and individuals to leverage a predictable curve of value to create new services and or preserve value and or exchange value, and eventually being able to trade or buy and many other things with it. So we have quite a lot of things plans that will be released this year.
Right. So what is that? How does insurance and all that stuff? How does that come into play?
Well, so there's a lot of industry that can be disrupted, and I think that we need to get to the base of it. It's that although C is based on a question of time, and so any time a businesses hold value for a certain period of time that is known in advance, either it is cash flow or either it is reserve money or either it is payroll. It could be a very there is a lot of source of cash flow, but every of these industry or the industry that are subscription based, basically that receives payment every month. All these industry can be disrupted through the underlying value of ADOC because this value will raise into a very predictable way. The business can now start to leverage this revenue because they don't need to deal with the uncertainty of volatility. You see, so it can be calculated over time and for years in advance that this is a minimal return. There is many ways it can disrupt. I'm going to give you another example, the payment system. And so the payment system, you are that the first the payment system will be a very interesting project that will reunite the decentralized world in the centralized world. So basically, although C enables already a way to mint a stable token to be able to transfer, but we believe that this is unscalable on a large scale. So we are putting out a project that we call H3, that is a direct reunion between a centralized and a decentralized world. So it is and it enables the user to leverage a central exchange in order to exchange and pay with C to anyone. Peer-to-peer, merchant-to-merchant, organization to people, anyone. It is fully peer-to-peer and it's near instant, it's free, very secure. And it is, and this, for the merchant, it is a great value because the same organization is also the one who can buy back this C for you from with money. So for a merchant, it becomes an instant exchange of value that start to appreciate the second that you have it. And the longer that the merchant is able to withhold before he needs the actual money as a cash flow is the longer he makes profit without new inventory, without new employees, without new spending. This is pure free money from the sky. So that is makes it a very competitive payment system because normally you have to pay like a Visa or Mastercard. You have a percentage to pay on them. The user have a monthly fee or a yearly fee that they have to pay. Everyone is paying a lot of money, and these credit cards are very cumbersome. So
Yeah.
these
Well,
are
this is
just
one of the big
aim of the project is to really be a bridge between those two worlds that we believe in the decentralized world fully is okay, but for now, these two worlds truly exist. And to create mass adoption, it needs to be tied together into a way that makes sense and it's easy to just enter the life of people. We don't want to educate people with new stuff. So the idea of these projects that I was talking, like the payment system, is an experience so similar to PayPal that this is really not something you need to re-educate people about it. It just needs to be tailored in a way where you can exchange money instantly and it benefits instantly the merchant. It's totally free and there is other type of service that are related to it. So I was just giving one example there. I could go also on the financing, which is even more crazy, but I think we don't have time for that. It might be the subject of another podcast if you wish in time. It's going to be a
Absolutely.
pleasure to
It would be great.
but this is the idea there. And to come back, LLC is a store of value, but it is not the project of what we are promoting. What we're promoting is a new exotic financial tool to create a fairer economy in which nobody needs to lose and to create a gigantic network effect into which every time someone uses the LLC for either a service, a payment, a loan, an investment, a placement, for every reason, they are benefiting the whole community at the same time in themselves. And this has never been seen before. This is literally a new paradigm.
It definitely is. So how can people get involved with the HODL community with HODL C?
Well, there's many ways to get involved. There's ways if people need counsel, advice, or when they need to actually get on the decks and stuff like that. There is the Telegram that is very well done for that. Well, we have a website, adultcommunity.org. This website contains useful information. It has the white paper. It has the link to every relevant community and or the decks for everyone who needs to understand and know more about predictable finance and know a bit more about the project that we have in the future and where we are going with this. So this is as simple as that. And the Adult Dex, the link is in our website. People can visit it. You have in the Adult Dex ways to do simulation, understand how Adosi could behave in time. You have graphic and information to know how the system is going now and how it has been going in the past. So a lot of information is available there. For now, we are on Ethereum, so you will need either a Coinbase wallet, a MetaMask, or a Trust wallet in equivalent to connect to the DEX. And from next week or so, we're gonna have also the new DEX, which will be on EOS. Same interface, will be exactly the same usage for user, but it will be interacting with the Scatter wallet on EOS.
Okay,
So
so
this new network has been created in order to make it easier for our community because because of the large fees that are there now in Ethereum until Ethereum 2.0 get out. I am a firm believer. I love Ethereum, and I very, very much yearn for the day which 2.0 get kicking on. But at the same time, for now, we are offering a new layer of network. The token has the same exact value at the same exact time, following the same exact protocol, and any transaction made on Ethereum or EOS network order books will have the same impact on the dynamic protocol rules. So one could say that they are both one and the same, and this is why we refer to them as a meta asset in the white paper, an asset that shares the same maximum supply, the same rules, and the same price upon multiple ledgers.
Gotcha. So if you do want to get into, if anybody out there wants to get into HODL or check it out more, go to hodlcommunity.org. And I will have links in the description as well. What is interesting is, like I said, if you have a MetaMask wallet, and they're super easy, they're very easy to, it's very easy to get one. MetaMask, or you also mentioned EOS. So the Scatter wallet, that's actually really, that's a decent wallet. That's a really good wallet. Um, but yeah, I mean, what else does HODL C have coming? What do you guys have coming in the
Well,
short
many
term?
things. In a few in 2 or 3 months, there will be possible for the user to swap freely the RDLC from a chain to another. So this is a one-way swap. This is not classical atomic swap on a market where you need to have a counterpart. In that case, it will be what I like to refer as a one-way swap, basically from a chain to the other. It prevents that if something would happen with a chain that will be suddenly abandoned, nobody will be segregated there because they have no counterpart to be able. Nobody will be stuck there, if you prefer. So anyone can go into any chain, but no chain can ever bust the maximum supply that could be over every chain, which is the meta asset logic. It's very near from a pegged asset, and some will say, "Oh no, it's just a peg asset." No, it's not pegged. It's a little more complex because both of every of the chain participate into the value creation. It's a little more complex, but yes, it's very near.
Gotcha. What really interests me is the bridge between the centralized and decentralized, and taking centralized things and moving into
Ah,
moving them into decentralization. A lot easier. I think the whole economy, the whole world. I think with the way things looking nowadays, that's what we really need, that bridge, and if you
yeah.
guys are providing that bridge, that's epic, that's great, that's a wonderful thing. It's something that it's something that I think the world definitely needs. Absolutely.
We do too. So normally on the commercial side, our expectation are that around May or June, all commercial activity will start on the other side. So the bridge will be available. This bridge will comprise of a fiat to crypto gateway, if you prefer an exchange, but we don't treat it as an exchange, and people should not expect to look at it as an exchange. It is based on a much more grassroots experience of managing our own wealth. It is not based on bid and ask and big graphic and candles. It is more like a bank experience, if you prefer. And it comes also with the financial counterpart that will enable people to buy with credit card, hold money into an account, basically interacting between the crypto and the fiat on both sides, not just buying and selling, but being able to hold on both sides. Very practical for merchants. And the last pillar will be a payment system, as I described, which will be free peer-to-peer, semi-centralized, but that will still back all this value upon the decentralized network, which operates as the yield curve that everyone is following, basically on the background, which is sovereign and decentralized. So everyone in the others see they have their own store of value. These store of value might not be token per se, but they operate the same way. You have your private keys. This is your store of value. So the decentralization of it is respected.
So you do, so every people will have their private keys.
Well, everyone that manage that goes with the network and deals with the DEX will all own their coin. Everyone that decide to go in the centralized world will not hold their coin, but they are. It's the
Right.
same time. It's the same experience than going to PayPal, sending your money to them, and paying to something. You don't hold your money on PayPal, but you have used it because it's a useful service. It's a bit the same process.
Right, right, absolutely. Yeah, so there's basically what you're providing is two routes. It's kind of like they can pick and choose what they want to, what they would like to do. So, right,
Yeah, and some will not ever know that they are using AdultC. And for us, this is one of the superpower of this project is that contrary to a lot of tokenization, which needs to include their token to make it valuable, in our case, these business services could just not exist without the token, but the people that use it don't necessarily to know about the token. People that use our payment system or the trust system or every other services such as the financing and stuff may never know that they are actually interacting with cryptocurrency, and that is an incredible superpower because it enables us to go to mass adoption without the friction of educating the whole world.
absolutely. Yeah, it's something that in the background, behind the scenes, is being used, but people just don't. People just don't. You won't know, but it'll be used.
Well, you may know if you're interested. I mean, if I'm interested in
Right,
mechanics, I'm gonna try to see how a car function, but for now I may only want to have a car.
right, absolutely. Wow, Huddle C is doing big things. Absolutely. Um, any plans for what other plans are out there for the future? Maybe like less of a short term, kind of long term for Huddle C for yourself. What are your future goals for Huddle C in the long term?
Wow, there's quite a lot of them. Uh,
I bet.
well, well,
Maybe two
it
of them.
really depends on which side. I have many threads on there, and it's the type of question that will get me an hour speaking. But the idea is, if I would try to just put that into a few words on the commercial side. Well, it's so many sides at the same time. The idea there is we want to create a new economic paradigm there in which millions and millions and millions of people can preserve their value there. We believe that this will create a very enormous wealth transfer, and that this wealth transfer will be created not from the bottom up, but from the up to bottom, contrary to general stuff, because of the nature of the world and people. Whereas the more the network will be adopted and people will preserve value to this network, the more the great dormant funds will want to leverage this because there's also value for them if they understand how it works. And then that will create wealth transfer toward the bottom. And we believe that this, and again, is a fair and altruistic type of economics that will beneficiate the wealthy as well as the other, but will have probably much more impact on those who are just normal user that use service and gets very, very interesting reward and return for these services. So, but then,
More of
eh,
a fair
eh,
playing field, so to speak.
exact. So a merchant that sees the velocity of this curve going will just be more inclined to want to accept this. So the friction to bring crypto to the points of sale of the world will not just be based on a buzz or a great community of people that wants to support it. It will be based on the competitiveness of the service at the base. So this is really how we are trying to get the angle. It's like if your token is the only value, maybe there's a problem in there. We want to bring value without the token, but that the token is the only way you can do it. So this way we think we have we're really resolving some problems out there. So this is our value proposition.
I understand what you're saying too. The tokens won't have just the value of uh, the money being put into them. They'll have a different type of value to them. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think that it will always, but yeah, I mean, maybe people will only see it as money. It's very hard to predict how will be the experience, but the thing that will happen is that there will be significant gain of wealth from people around the world, and that we are really aiming at promoting this through the normal channel of people everywhere and spreading it as much as we can before that inflection time where the great funds get in, which we believe is a period of maybe 5 to 10 years, in which after that the institution will get in. This is our thinking because it takes that time to become a proven stable asset, but we're making our way through.
Definitely, definitely. All right, so I'm gonna ask you a couple little questions just to so people can kind of get to know JP a little bit more. What was your favorite moment in blockchain technology? Like, what was your oh wow, that really happened? Did you have any moments like that at all, or as you were like up and coming into tech?
Yeah, well, it might sound weird for people, but for me, the big illuminating moment for me was when I was very, very, very new into this. I'm not exactly sure which year. I'm not very good in time, but it was very early in the game, and there was this project that was called Colu, which came out with the concept of colored coin at that point. The idea was that using the
What was the name of it? I missed.
Colu, Colu, and it was this small software project, very old school, in which you could create your token. It was before Ethereum became popular or anything. It was very interesting, and the concept was based on using the up return field to write something unique, and that this proof of existence could be used to attach real world value to a token. That was the first time I was exposed to the idea that the real world value of the world could be tied to tokenization, not just value per se, like Bitcoin. So that was for me. That was all the idea about tokenization, like how could a token impact some industry and vice versa, became from that time I was exposed to that thing, and I created my first token, and I was like, wow, like a children. I could say it was it was very, very. So I would say that this was my big wow moment that kind of get me passionate in all of this.
That's awesome. Yeah, that was kind of like when I created my first. I put my book on the block on the. I put my book as an NFT on the Wax blockchain through the Atomic Hub platform, and for me that was my moment. That's awesome. It's amazing to see what blockchain technology can do, and even through HODL C and what you guys are doing, I think it's awesome what you guys are doing. You're trying to bridge the gap, so to speak, in a way. But it's one of those things where people when people get into this space and then they start researching and really realize what blockchain can do, that's when it becomes more than Bitcoin. You know what I mean? It's more than just, oh, what is Bitcoin? Oh, I can invest, I can make a lot of money, or no, it's more of like, it's in your name, community. It's more of a community thing where, and that's what I love about blockchain technology is the power of a community, of the community. And then you have little communities which are, it's like a web. You have the community, and then you have little communities in there, but then each community comes together to make that whole. I mean, a person from this community will know that person or this. I mean, it's a wonderful thing what blockchain technology has done and continues to do.
Centralization world. The cool thing in this is that Bitcoin is not the only solution. You see, it is taking a real place in the world, and I think it's here to stay. I think it's going to become like the international sovereign exchange money in the future. For me, that will become the only money that will be trusted by a sovereign party when everyone wants to when people's going to hate more each other. But in the time, I think that Bitcoin resolved the trust issue for these exchange, and the unscalability of the system will not be an impairment for, I think, this type of use case. But Bitcoin cannot resolve anything that decentralization can resolve, and it's not just about a value that can be exchanged. I think that the more the industry is maturing, even with the DeFi craze, which is also a second form of ICO craze. But there's good stuff getting out of it because people are more and more understanding how to mature the system and how to create new ways of basically treating your value in a decentralized way. And this is more than just speculating on the stock market. It creates a form of second layer of passive return and passive economy and loan economy that is created amongst this, and it is really growing toward the retail. It's not there yet, but I think that the DeFi movement of now is a sign that this community, if you say, is maturing into something. And I think that also there will be less and less tribalism in time. So there's still maximalists of a lot of networks, some more than others. But I think that in time, more and more people start to realize that the crust of these ledgers together can do much more. and that this new DeFi has made this even much more obvious because people want to have all these passive and swap and stuff and all these facilities to handle their finance easily. So being cross-chain becomes this ever more important feature that we need to have. And one of the things for that is to stop this cultural war of tribalism that is based on let's raise the price because the more we're cheering it, the more it's popular. This is all about price manipulation. This is really what, as I told you, I believe that this is one of the greatest flaw of the whole tokenization world.
Absolutely. And then once people realize that they can tokenize their own, eventually you'll be able to tokenize things on like the title to your car, the mortgage to your house, and put that on a blockchain so that it has, I mean, it's in your wallet, your private key, you have your private key, all this stuff. But you were saying about the communities and maximalists and everything. I love everybody, but one thing I just don't understand how somebody could, how I would love to know how a maximalist thinks, because I couldn't. I mean, HODL C. I mean, there's so many
Oh,
projects out there that
I know a few maximalists out there. I cannot presume that I know how they think, but I think that there is a perception in there that when Bitcoin came, it really was the first like protocol to enable people to for peer-to-peer exchange. And as we said, it created the concept of sovereign money. Sovereign money goes just much more than just about value. It's about freedom. It's about how you have the right to benefit from your wealth, use your wealth, invest your wealth, transfer or not your wealth. It creates more than just money. It's a movement in some way that create this layer of freedom in which some people became fairly significantly rich and that has a freedom over that money that they never had before, creating a whole industry around it and saying that this is the solution to free, not to free the world, but to create a fairer capitalism by removing the incentive for regulators and state to constantly manipulate their own fiat and continue a debt-based system. You see, so there is a big movement there behind, and Bitcoin is definitely disrupting this whole way of things. So I guess that in a maximalist head, anything else is like diminishing the effort or the credibility of this movement into disrupting the way capitalism works and the way we consider what is trusted money and the power that has been given to central banks and regulators, you see. So I guess that for some maximalists, everything else is about greed. And for some, in many ways, they have been right many times. And so this is why I guess that this is a new industry that needed to flourish. And so every time there was scam and stuff like that, it was just reinforcing this. And at the same time, it was very funny for them because most of these scammers were always going back, basically making Bitcoin become more popular because they have like sucked the Ethereum of people and then they just transferred it into Bitcoin and bye bye. There was so much of that. So I guess that in the head of the maximalist, the whole industry is poised to be scammy unless some specific project. And then you have maximalists that will tolerate some or other project as being less scammy than others. So, but I think that in the head of a maxi, everything else is a waste of effort and is not participating to this worldly movement of sovereign money and sovereign capitalism. So I think that this will be a certain perspective, and every it's but I think that this is missing a bit the point about the fact that there's more to this than just the movement of sovereign capitalism. But that's my opinion.
I agree. I definitely agree. It's more than just a movement of, a monetary movement. You have decentralization, centralization, all these things. They're centralized, becoming decentralized, and then different types of communities, like you said. And now you've actually helped me see it from a different kind of, a different way, from where you have somebody that's just a Bitcoin maximalist, but in the way that they've seen what happened with ICOs and everything and all these scammy things, and it kind of turned them off from seeing anything else. But I always like to keep an open mind, and
It,
it's all about the people behind the projects and stuff like that, and the actual projects. I mean, in 2017, that was just, I think that was just one of those things where it was just, it happened, and a bunch of people just tried to make money real quick and leave. But when you see a real project, there were real projects that came out of, the 2017 that era. So um,
Yeah. So this is why we need to keep an open mind. This is a new industry, and the people are refining the more and more these type of services. So yes, I think that maximalism is a bit overdated. But as I tell you, when you feel that you're part of this great worldly movement that will change the rules that have been oppressing with the usage of regulation, banks, and oppression, economic oppression, if you prefer, that has a lot of impact and effect. Yes, maybe these people consider that they are the only cause, and I can consider to see this in their own way, like a crusade against, evil, the evilness that is not money has never been evil. It has always been about the people that are controlling money flow.
absolutely, and that is something that I feel like it's hard to really put words on it, but I can totally see that. Like, like I said, I'm very, I love helping people and everything, and that's why I got into this community in blockchain and crypto. I always wanted to help people, but I never knew how. I was big into working out way back and being a personal trainer and all these things, but it was very hard to sustain that lifestyle was very difficult. So eventually, I decided to join the military and everything, and that's where I said, like, I was in Guam and I learned that this blockchain technology and cryptocurrency can actually help me help people. It gave me kind of that bridge, so to speak, to be able to go help people. So that's one of the other reasons that I love the technology and the community and the people.
That same here.
Absolutely, helping people it's one of the things that it's my true passion. To be completely honest, it's, if I could find a way to actually, unfortunately in this world we do need money, enough to live, but if I could find a way to, just have enough to be comfortable, I don't need anything crazy, just to be comfortable and live a regular life, but help people while I'm making money, that would be, that would complete me. you know.
Well, I was very inspired when I was younger. I don't know exactly who stated this, so I won't be able to quote the right person. But what I heard at that time was that if you are able to bring a real change and impact in the life of 1 billion people and really help their life, you're gonna become billionaire. So I always, when my head kept this, meaning that you need to create real impact, and then money is just the thing that comes with it. So in my mind, like, if you are not able to really create this impact, money is not a very good goal, and it has probably been destroying quite a lot of projects.
Absolutely. We'll wrap up. I just wanted to say, I want to say thank you very much for coming on the channel. I hope you'll be able to come on again in the future. This was a wonderful talk. I'm excited about Hodl C. I think when everybody sees this video, they're going to be pretty pumped about it too. Was there anything, any closing remarks you want to make?
No, it's I think all is said.
Okay, everybody, I will leave links in the description. Thank you again, JP, for coming on and joining us today. I'll have the Telegram on there. I will have the hodlcommunity.org, all the websites and everything. Any social media on Twitter, Facebook, anything like that. I'll have all the links in the description. So, and if you're watching this, go ahead, go down to the bottom and check out all the links. But
Thank you.
you have a wonderful day, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.